morning, and welcome back to Denmark News. This is yours truly, Bobby Lynn BF, in Copenhagen, Denmark. It has been 3 years since the Germans have left, and to celebrate our 3-year anniversary of freedom, we have a special segment. We get to interview Ellen Rosen. Ellen is one of the Jews who survived the Holocaust, and here she comes now.
Hello.
This is Ellen Rosen, everyone. Hello, Ellen. How are you this quite fine morning?
Quite good, actually. How are you?
Just great. I am so glad you could join us today. I know you've had some very interesting experiences in the German invasion of Denmark. Today, I would like to ask you some questions about your experiences during the war, from the point when the German soldiers were in your town to when you were fleeing for your life.
Okay, I'm ready.
First question, how did you feel about the Germans invading Denmark?
It was very scary. We knew that we wouldn't be able to fight them off, so we surrendered. I hope the Germans would leave soon because I didn't like their beady little eyes following me everywhere I go. I was especially worried that they would notice my necklace because it was the David Star and I didn't want them knowing I was a Jew.
Were the soldiers friendly when they stayed in Denmark?
Some of them were, and some of them really weren't.
The Germans must have watched every person in town. I think those soldiers took their job way too seriously. Just because you're a German soldier doesn't mean that you can't be friendly. Also, I heard that they shut down some stores. Speaking of shutting down stores, Mrs. Hirsch's button shop was being closed because she was a Jew. How did you feel about this?
I thought that was unfair. Just because Mrs. Hirsch was a Jew doesn't mean you have to cut out their only source of money. I was so afraid my dad would lose his job.
I bet your mother was very worried when she found out about Mrs. Hirsch. She must have been worried about the money. Were you ever worried about Anne-Marie's family? Were you worried about that if you were found out that Anne-Marie's family would be put into custody?
I was more worried about what would happen if they were executed for hiding a Jew. I was scared that I would be the cause of my best friend's death. I didn't want that guilt always in my stomach. I didn't want to be relocated without my family. All the ifs made me sick sometimes, and I just couldn't bear the thought.
Being put into that situation at such a young age is unbearable to think about. You and your friend have such brave souls. Speaking of your friend, what were you thinking when you were told you had to live with Anne-Marie so your parents could be relocated for their own safety?
I was really sad, but I knew that it was the right thing to do. I knew that my family separating would be the best option. The only bright side was that I got to live with my best friend. I realized that could have been fun, but the pros list was so small that the cons outweighed the pros big time.
It must have been so hard to have been separated from your parents. At least you had Anne-Marie as a positive, something to drag you away from all the negatives.
It was hard, but you're right, I did have Anne-Marie. And she was the most amazing friend ever. She dragged me away from the hard times, like you said.
Best friends can be the best way to leave the hard times for a couple of hours. But friendships are tested every day and every night. On the night the soldiers came, how did you feel when Anne-Marie broke your necklace?
I was devastated because my father gave me that necklace and I had never taken it off. Can you believe it? I'd forgotten how to undo a silly little clasp.
You must have worn it so long that you forgot how to do something so easy. The night where everyone was gathering for the funeral, I heard that secret supplies were hidden in the coffin to help you and the rest of the Jews escape.
Well, at first when I didn't know we were escaping that night, I was sorry for Anne-Marie's loss. But when I was described the plan, I was surprised to find the supplies not under a blanket. I thought that they would have a blanket, not letting the supplies being so exposed. If the soldiers had come and opened the coffin, the supplies would be there for all to see.
That would have been a good idea, because then you could say the doctor suggested putting a black blanket over it to keep the germs from spreading. After the funeral, what was it like to leave your home and your best friend behind to travel across to another country?
I was heartbroken. I grew up in Denmark. Denmark is the only place I could call home. Denmark is where my best friend is. I didn't want to leave her or my home, but I knew that not even an ocean could break our friendship. I didn't quite grasp the fact that the war could have lasted for 10 years. I just thought it'd be gone for 1 year or a couple months. Good thing it didn't last 10 years. Anne-Marie might have forgotten our special friendship and what we've been through.
What makes your friendship so special?
We've been through so much together, it just seems impossible to break our friendship. We've known each other since we were 5. Being in Denmark with the German soldiers and having a friend who is a Jew is a big test to friendship. When your friendship is put through so many tests, it makes your friendship stronger, or it may break it. But Anne-Marie and I have known each other so long that our friendship is so strong that you could throw anything at us and we'd still be best friends.
Now, I heard that you had to travel on a boat, and I also heard that the smell was the worst part of the trip. In your own words, describe to us what the smell was like.
The smell was rancid. It was like someone gutted a fish and trapped the pieces in the wall. I didn't think I would make the trip without hurling. I was trying to act normal, but when I realized everyone else was about to hurl, I kind of just sat and rocked myself to sleep.
I can't imagine being stuck with that smell. I would have probably hurled. And now I heard there was a baby traveling with your group. Did the baby cause any disruption?
Not a peep. She was as quiet as a mouse.
How is that possible?
A boy named Peter, that Anne-Marie knows, drugged the baby so that she would sleep and make no sound.
What was the baby's name?
Rachel.
What a lovely name. I bet the mother must have been so scared when Peter had drugged the baby.
She was so nervous. She begged Peter not to drug her baby, though.
I can't imagine what it must have been like watching that. Just watching your baby being drugged, but knowing it was the right thing to do. After the long trip to Sweden and the couple of years waiting, how did you feel when the war ended?
I was thrilled. I was so excited to return that I cried tears of joy. I couldn't wait to see Anne-Marie. I wanted to tell her the stories of my trip and what Sweden was like. I couldn't wait to be back at school.
Wait, back at school? You don't hear that from a child every day.
Yes, school. I know it was a little weird, but I just wanted to be back so badly. I wanted to take a stroll down the streets in Copenhagen.
Well, I can see why you would miss school. But once you got back in the routine of school, were you still glad to be back?
The first couple days, I was just so happy to be back that I didn't mind the increase of homework. But after the first week, man, was I tired of school.
That sounds more like a typical kid. Thank you so much, Ellen, for joining us tonight and sharing your very important story.
Thank you for having me, and it was my pleasure.
All right, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you again, Ellen, for joining us. And remember, folks, be safe and don't be late for the next interview. This is Bobby Lynn Biek signing off. Bye-bye.
Bye.